Hello everyone, this is Jesse from The Winning Agenda with another Monarch Sealed Deck video. It's another chance for us to get a bit of practice in before the calling here in Melbourne, or for you US players before your callings later in September. If you enjoy these Sealed Deck videos and you enjoyed the first one, hope you'll enjoy this one as well. Please like and subscribe to the channel, help support the channel, and do let me know in the comments or send us an email and let me know if this is the sort of content you enjoy, or if there's something else you'd like to see a bit more of, let us know as well. We'll hopefully have some more deck techs and gameplay videos coming up soon as we try and put out a bit more content about Flesh and Blood. And for you Twilight Struggle fans out there who follow the channel because of our Twilight Struggle content, there will be more Twilight Struggle content as we get back into the tournament seasons. We're currently in kind of the lull between the International Twilight Struggle League and the Reddit Twilight Struggle League seasons, so have no fear, there will be more Twilight Struggle content coming. But for now, I hope you enjoy this Flesh and Blood Sealed Deck. So welcome back for Sealed Pool number 2. My name's Jesse Marshall, and let's get cracking. So in the last pool, we ended up with Chain and Prism being the two most powerful out of our pool. And this time we're starting off with another powerful Chain card in Red Riftbind, a decent resource card for Leviah being the Hungering Slaughterbeast, and a couple of, I'll just put these packs over here for the moment, another couple of decent Prism cards to start off with. Red Wartune Herald, exactly where we want to be at. So this is what we want to start with generics as well. This is starting to look like a better pool than the last one. Red pound for pound, attacks for 6, has a good ability, and then a Red Zealous Belting as well, which works really well in Prism or Leviah because it's going to have Go Again a lot of the time, and it's going to get in for 5. As well as the Talisman of Dowsing, which shouldn't be underestimated how good that card can be at shutting down an opposing chain. Or not shutting them down necessarily, but lessening the impact of their arcane damage, which can otherwise be really difficult to prevent. A generic Captain's Call again. So this one, being a blue as opposed to in our last pool we had a red, only works on 0 cost attack actions. So it's particularly good in Chain and Bolton, as is Stubby Hammers, which works on small attack actions. So particularly good again in Chain and Bolton. And then another Captain's Call blue. And a blue Rise Above, which is not the best. So all in all, although we got only one Bolton card, I think the fact that we got the 2 blue Captain's Calls is kind of, best for Bolton. And the red pound for pound certainly works as well. So Boneyard Marauder blue. So again, some blue Leviah cards, which is good and bad. So the thing in Leviah, you want a mix of blues, which are generally not going to be 6 or higher power attacks, and then things like this Graveling Growl, which is a big attack. So starting to look like a decent balance there on the Leviah side of things. Our first blue for Prism, which helps with on that resource side of things, and then a red Courageous Steel Hand to join our yellow Courageous Steel Hand, giving us a couple of nice tricks in Bolton there. Impenetrable Belief, a Seek Enlightenment, and Illuminate, all completely fine on the light side of things as well. Surging Militia, red Brandish, another red Spew Shadow. So those are going to allow us to play pretty much all of our Leviah attacks from the Banished Zone, which is pretty powerful if you can replay your Dread Screamers and things. A foil blue Seeds of Agony, an Ironhide Helm, Rise Above, and an Invert Existence, which is a Majestic for Chain. It's an instant, and it says you can banish 2 cards in an opposing hero's graveyard. If you banish an attack action and a non-attack action, you can deal 2 arcane damage to that hero. So this can be pretty nice as an instant to hurt your opposing Chain player by putting some cards into the banished zone that they can't play that turn, but it can also just be 2 arcane damage to the face, which is pretty nice for a card that you can play from the banished zone. So a couple of Rise Aboves sitting off there to the side. A yellow and a blue. So not as good as that red that we had in the last pool. Arcanic Crackle, a blue. A Deadwood Rumble blue, which is exactly the blue that you want to see for Leviah, because it does have 6 power, and it gives you the resources that you need. A yellow Rip Through Reality. A blue Herald of Protection, again another nice one. A blue Herald, Enigma Chimera, rather. A red Yanti Yanti, which is a particularly nice one because it costs 0, attack comes in for 4, so not too bad. As far as generic commons go, a blue Overload, another fine resource card, though not the most powerful, Rising Solar Tide, Blinding Beam, and a red Spears of Surreality. So coming in for 5 with Go Again for 1 resource, really, really nice. Ebon Fold, making our Shadow Heroes a little bit more attractive here. So at the moment, between Stubby Hammerers and Ebon Fold, Chain is going to benefit the most from those two combined. A Valiant Thrust, and then a Convulsions from the Bellows of Hell yellow. I think the blue might be the best of Convulsions for the reasons that I mentioned in the last video, but the yellow is certainly fine as well. So a blue Unworldly Bellow, a little bit of a buff there. A yellow Piercing Shadow Vise. To go with our blue Piercing Shadow Vise, 2 Seeds of Agony, Invert Existence, and Arcanic Crackle. So starting to build up some pretty nice synergies there in chain. A red Deadwood Rumbler, Bolt of Courage, Herald of Rebirth, Warchene Herald. I mean, you can see why Prism is just so highly played in Sealed, because all of these commons are just so good. Like, they synergize really well together, and they're just such powerful cards just in and of themselves. So a red Ghostly Visit, another nice one for chain. Blue Pound for a Pound, so more resources there. Another generic 6-cost attack, a Rally the Rearguard. So we've got the red Pound for a Pound from the first pack, plus that Rally the Rearguard, and a red Outmuscle. So not bad. That's 3 really sweet generic 6-power attacks that are going to be really helpful for us. So Gallantry Gold, if we do end up in Bolton, although our Bolton pool's looking a little thin. Consuming Aftermath as a 6-power, and then Genesis as a decent Prism card, and can be above decent in some matchups where your opponent actually has to commit a lot of resources to getting rid of it. So Genesis and Majestic, certainly worth thinking about in Prism, particularly against Levia players, or even against Bolton players, where it can be a little bit harder for them to dedicate an attack, although for Bolton a lot of the time they are able to chain together multiple go-agains, and then just hit your Genesis at the end of the chain. So a blue Arcanic Crackle, speaking of chain, a red Bounding Demagon. So that's 2 good 0-cost attacks joining the pile there for chain. We have got a couple of Unworldly Bellows and a few good resource and attack cards there for Levia. So feeling okay about that. The Valiant Thrust I didn't mention as well. Totally fine. Rare for Bolton, but nothing super exciting. A blue Rally the Rearguard, a Frontline Scout, and a Warmonger's Recital. We've got the red Dread Screamer, so that's really nice for Levia there. Surging Militia, red, which is an extremely nice finisher to be able to put on the bottom of your deck. And actually probably worse in chain because of the fact that you can't reliably get it back at the end of the game, although obviously still fine. Bolton, Dustpath Pilgrimage, and then a blue Consuming Aftermath. Also noting that we've got a 6-power Consuming Aftermath here in red, which is a nice one for either chain or Levia. Popping Opposing Phantasms, and for Levia also triggering her hero ability. So let's try this last pack. So one mythic so far, Majestic. Oh, 2 Majestics. We've got the Genesis and the Invert Existence. So see if we can pick up another one here. Boneyard Marauder, Rifted Torment. Let's get these Levia cards back in view. Cover them up. Another red Dread Screamer. Wow. Okay, so Levia really coming through late here. Warchene Herald and Herald of Tenacity, and Express Lightning. Yeah, really just not feeling this Bolton pool here, hey. Blood Tribute in blue, a red Frontline Scout, a yellow Ray of Hope, good light sideboard card, an Overload in red, again not too bad, a Minnowism, which joins not a huge number of Bulletals and Minnowisms actually in this pool so far, but certainly a fine resource card, a Yinty Yanty, and either Ironweave, a Plow Through, and a Dimensional Gateway. So we've ended up with 2 good pieces of equipment for chain, well 3 really, either Ironweave, Ebon Fold, and Stubby Hammerers. And then we've got the Ironhide Helmet as well. So chain with 4 pieces of playable equipment. could be where we end up this time. So just having a look through the generics, whether it leads us in any particular direction, having the outmuscle, the rally, the rear guard, and the pound for pound, plus the consuming aftermath in the shadow pool, means that we've got 4 6-power attacks that we can play in chain to give the capacity to pop the opposing phantasms. Leviah, again, like some really powerful Leviah cards here with the Dread Screamer, the double red Dread Screamer. But what have we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I guess only one more chain card. But again, it feels like the Ghostly Visit really wants to draw us towards chain, although I guess we've got red Consuming Aftermath, red Lunatide Plunderer, and 2 Spew Shadows that can let us replay our Dread Screamers. The only thing that might be a bit of a concern for Leviah is actually how many blues we've got. So we've got 2. We've got the Deadwood Rumbler, which is also a 6, the Unworldly Bellow. So that's 2, 3, 4. We've got 2 Shadows that we can play, and then a few decent resources here that we wouldn't mind playing as well. Although the Captain's Call's not doing anything at all for us in Leviah, unfortunately. Are they doing anything for us in chain? We've only got 1 Demigon, I think. Oh, and the 2 Arcanic Crackles. So the Captain's Calls are actually doing quite a bit for us in chain, as well as being decent resources that we can use to play some of our more expensive attacks. So I think between the Captain's Calls, the generic shadow cards such as Ghostly Visit, and the spread of the resources, plus I think I'm reasonably happy with the spread of cards in the chain pool. I think I'm going to build up chain first, and then we might try Leviah second. Although this prison pool looks good as well, with a couple of Wartune Heralds and at least 1 protection. I thought we had another protection. No, just the 1. So we'll put both of the light heroes off to the side for the start of this one, and then we'll quickly build up chain first. And again, the other factor which I mentioned at the start but didn't come back to there was this equipment. So being able to play either Ironweave, Evenfold, Stubby Hammerers, which buffs your attacks for a whole turn, probably best in chain and best in this version of chain where we've got 2 Captain's Calls. So I actually think this could be a pretty powerful chain deck here. Let's put Leviah to the side just for the moment. And in terms of these generic shadow cards, I'm not sure about Blood Tribute. I think we'll put that to the side as maybe. This Consuming Aftermath, I think we'll play that. We'll play this because it's a 6-power attack, this because it's a generic 6-power, and then we might not play these Spew Shadows because they're not very good resources and they're not letting us do a whole lot that we can't already do. So we'll set these chain cards out. We've got Blood Debt attacks again. We'll do the generics in a second. So Blood Debt attacks and non-Blood Debt attacks. Do that over here. So another non-Blood Debt, non-Blood Debt. Non-Blood Debt, non-attack action. So Dimensional Gateway, a fine resource, and also a fine way to just get in for 1 extra damage. The Rifted Torment, Demigon, Arcanic Crackles, Shadow Vires, Rip Through Reality, and then we've got the cheeky Invert Existence at the end. Seeds of Agony, and Blood Debt. Non-attack actions. And so I think we probably have enough non-attack actions here. We haven't got anything that requires us to play non-attack actions other than this 1 Demigon. So I think that's okay. I don't think we need to bring in those Spew Shadows to even that up just yet, because we do have things like Warmonger's Recital. Frontline Scout, I think we might leave that out for now. Overload, certainly okay. Rally the Rearguard as a blue and a decent attack action. Surging Militia, again mentioning that those finishing the game can be decent. I think we might leave the Brandish out for now. We do have a couple of Captain's Calls to help turn on the Demigon, and then we've got a couple of nice beefy attacks there. Talisman of Dowsing can go in the sideboard to come in against opposing chains if need be. And then we've got this Yinti Yanti, which can go in. Obviously, Yinti Yanti as well, actually particularly nice in chain, because you've always got an aura in play from your Soul Shackles. So it's always going to have +1 attack and +1 defense. And being a 0 cost attack that you can play on those later turns that comes in for 4, pretty decent. Minnowism again, providing a little bit of buff. Might stay in if we feel like we need the resources, but also might go out. We'll cut that frontline scout. We'll play the Surging Militia, hope that we draw it at the right time. Play the Outmuscle, the Rally, the Rearguard. Don't think we need blue pound for pound. Blue Warmonger's Recital can be okay. Having enough blues to fuel those big blood debt turns is important. Do we play Overload over the blue pound for pound? I don't know. I think we might actually... trying to decide whether I prefer having Overload or pound for pound coming back later if we needed another resource card. Because I don't think we're going to play either of those Rise Aboves, but there's another red Yinti. So we're looking a little bit light on for resources. If you look through here, we've got a lot of reds, which is nice for our damage output. It's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 reds in the generic, plus a couple of reds here. Invert Existence, Seeds of Agony, and Piercing Shadow Vise, being able to pitch those early and then hit them off the bottom of the deck with Blood Debt is going to be nice. So that's going to be something that we'll prioritize doing in gameplay. This leaves us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 31. So with 31, I think we'll bring in maybe 3 more blues. So it might actually be Overload pound for pound Blood Tribute. Just so we've got enough resources. And then that looks like a pretty decent deck. So a few different attacks. Obviously wanting to try and get these yellow and blue Blood Debt cards on the bottom of the deck early. So if we can end up having kind of a bottom few cards that consists of Rifted Torment, Rip Through Reality, Piercing Shadow Vise, Seeds of Agony, and this Invert Existence, then we can string together some pretty powerful late game turns. Obviously, these cards put together cost quite a few resources, so we're going to have to take some heat along the way to be able to get them all banished at the same time and deal with them, but you know, the likelihood of us actually getting them all in a row at the end of the game is a little low. What we want is to be getting kind of 1, 2, 3 of these per turn on those last couple of turns in combination with these others that are playable from the Banished Zone. Yeah, I think this looks like a pretty decent deck. Might just put the chain cards aside for a moment and have a quick look at the Leviathan. I don't think it's going to make it just because we've got such powerful equipment for chain. But if we can still play the Stubby Hammerers. We just can't play the either Ironweave, so we'll bring back in the Ironhide Plate for Leviathan. Still be similar sideboard, but we'll bring in these Spew Shadows. And we'll probably cut... Minnowism is not going to be doing a lot. We'll cut the chain cards as well. Probably wouldn't mind having that Blood Tribute still, just as another way to trigger Levi's ability, plus another resource. We'd probably cut some of these reds, actually. I think maybe Yinti if we're playing Levi. Rally the Rearguard's fine. Might not play that Overload. Although Overload can be nice off a Dread Screamer go again. Yeah, we've ended up with quite a few reds still. I think we'd cut those. So then we'd end up with our Leviathan cards being a Dread Screamer, Red Boneyard Marauder, double Dread Screamer, a Unworldly Bellow, double Deadwood Rumbler. I think we had double Unworldly Bellow. No, had a Graveling Growl. Oh yeah, there's the other Unworldly Bellow. Graveling Growl, Boneyard Marauder again. Hungering Slaughter Beast and a Convulsions. So quite a few ways to banish later. A few things that hit pretty hard. And I think possibly enough resources. We might actually end up playing things like that Minnowism just to get ourselves another blue here. Because if we lay this out in terms of resource pitch, we're still very heavy on the reds, which, as we said earlier, really nice for how hard you can hit. But when we've got such a high number of 2s and 3s, we don't want to have to be pitching 2 cards to play our cards, because that's a recipe for losing games. So let's have a look here how our pitch looks. So yeah, a little bit too heavy on the reds. We've already cut a few reds. So what we ended up with? 3, 6, 9, 12. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And 4. So 31 cards. And 16 of them are pitching for 2 or more. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. Oh, these captain's calls don't do anything either. That's concerning. So we need to find a couple more blues. I mean, at least Minnowism doesn't do anything. I mean, how many small attacks are we actually playing here? The captain's calls work on the overload, so does the Minnowism. But I don't think we've actually really got many other attacks that this Minnowism works with, because Red Surging Militia is a 5. Pound for Pound is a 4, so that's not going to work. Yeah, so pretty much this Minnowism, Double Captain's Call, and Rise Above are just pretty much going to end up being resources if we play them. We have got a Frontline Scout and an Overload that we can play in the yellow slot, but I think at that point we're pretty much putting in resource cards for resource sake that do very little, when we could be playing a chain deck that pretty much was how we want it to look. So at the end of the day, the chain deck I think is the one that we want to go with. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed another sealed deck construction. I've been Jesse Marshall for The Winning Agenda. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back with more sealed and constructed content shortly. Thanks so much for watching.